Boom. Cool. So Juicy Ninja Chuck It and See, episode 7. We have Stephen Fawcett on. How's it going, man?
How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for the time. So we'll just dive straight in like we always do. What got you into coaching, the coaching side of CrossFit?
So I mean, from when I started CrossFit, because obviously it was 2010 to 11. Quite a lot of my friends then started because I would tell them what I was doing. So then I would end up coaching them. There's a lad that still competes now, Sean Hardwick. He's been in our teams over the years at regionals and strength and depth. He was like my main first training partner, but I was always telling him kind of what to do. So that was my first kind of insight to coaching. And then, just as CrossFit grew, I became the person that when people, around my area where I grew up, where there wasn't a CrossFit gym, if people were getting into CrossFit and they were at the gym that I was at, it was always me kind of telling them what to do, even though I wasn't the instructor there or anything. And it just led. I was a personal trainer back 2011 and 12 then as well, and it just kind of like led one thing to another. Got a job in a gym, personal training, put a little bit of a CrossFit twist on everything that I was doing, and then it just led into opening CrossFit JST in 2013. And things have just spiraled on from there, really.
Yeah, sweet. I've always wondered, what does JST stand for? Is there a...
I always say this, what do you think it stands for?
So I've come up with all these theories in my head. I always get so there's Jack, there's yourself, and then I'm like, there's no T that I know of. So I don't know if it's initials.
Do you know who Tino is? You must know who Tino is. Santino Marini.
Oh, okay.
Scottish legend. Scottish OG. No, it's not. The T doesn't stand for him either. But he was. A lot of people thought it was the J. So the J stands for Jonathan Buller.
Yep.
S is me, Stephen. And T just stands for training. So it's just John C Training. So it's dead boring.
Good.
It just had a bit of an easy ring to it. JST.
Yeah.
Back in the early days, we started an online blog. This was before we opened up the gym, and there was me and John. We'd qualified for regionals in 2012, so we were getting a bit of interest in what we were doing because we'd improved quite a lot. And you just put an online blog. We just called it JST Training, JS Training. So it was like JST Training.
Cool.
And just stuck with us then, and we just decided to affiliate, and then it was quite catchy. I think just
simple. It's good.
Recognised easy. So we did a little bit of a challenge in the gym members once, if they could come up with a better thing that it stands for. There was juicy sweaty titties and lots of different little rude ones, but join, survive, thrive was a good one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean anything other than
cool. When did Jack get on board with?
So Jack was a member of our gym, and he actually represented us in regionals in 2014.
Oh,
I think that was his first time. Then he did a team in 2015 as well.
Mm-hmm.
He then moved to become a coach at the gym in 2000. At the end of 2015, he had a job as a marine geophysicist. Believe it or not. Which is, it's like studying rock seabeds and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Something super geeky. And he had a decent, secure job, but he didn't enjoy it. He loved training, trained all his life through uni, and he'd competed in sailing at high level. And we had hours and availability for PT at the gym, and he just jumped ship then. So I'll fast forward until just this last 6 months. Actually, I've left CrossFit JST, the affiliate.
Okay.
I've separated and just now focusing on JST Compete with Jack. So the affiliate and the online programming is run as two separate things. Obviously, it's JST on both names, but the split was amicable. It was just my stuff's online on this computer here, and we can do it wherever, and it kind of suits with our lifestyle of training and competing and coaching. Owning a box these days is not just something that you can do on the side of other things like you used to 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's a full, if you own a box now, it's the full works. So just decided it was easiest to split. So now, yeah, I mean, you could say that JST Compete is Jack's T, and
exactly. Yeah, cool.
you can think of someone else who's called T if you want. But yeah, it's just JST. Yeah.
Cool. When did you realise that you were quite good at the training side of things, and then what made you push towards competing?
Honestly, it was quite early on, to be honest. Like I said before, when I started CrossFit in 2011 or so, there wasn't that many people doing it. So the standard was obviously lower. And back then, you know, most people just followed CrossFit.com, and you recorded your results on the comment section on the website. So that's how you'd compare. You'd see how good you were just from that, and you'd see names. Chris Spieler's name would pop. Pat Sherwood's name, and what's his name? Pat Barber, Jason Cleaver's name. They'd all pop up, and these are people that we were seeing on, you know, any of the games coverage or any of the few videos that were out there. So you could get a direct comparison then to how good you were. And you know, my score, I wasn't, you know, beating them, but I wasn't a million miles off.
Yeah.
My first competition was in 2011, and I finished 4th. And Santino Marini, who's a good friend of mine now, actually came 3rd. He's the main man in Scotland for a long time. And it was that point. That's when I stopped playing football. Decided to you know, I was playing at a decent level football. Just decided to stop that there. There's a sport here, or there's a thing. I don't think it's called a sport. There's a thing here that I'm competing, and I think I can do quite well in it. So yeah, just pursued it, and just as the competitions came around, and just year on year, just had to try and just work my way up, work my way up the rankings, and work my way up the ladder. Until finally, like I never really had, in the beginning anyway, I never really thought that I'm going to get to the games. The games was a big thing, but it wasn't like a huge thing. It happened. But there wasn't anywhere near as much media out there, or you know, advertisement as to build it up. That only really came around, I think, 2012, 13 and onwards. Like earlier than that, there wasn't a great deal of footage out there. I'd say I knew I was good enough to get to the games. Probably it was early on in 2014. There was a competition called Battle of London.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you remember. It was when we ruined the floor. I took quite a lot of blame for that one.
Oh no.
There was a barbell complex of clean, hang clean, front squat, jerk, and they said after the complex you had to lower this bar down under full control, and if you didn't, you'd get a no rep. And I got 135, which was still pretty big now. It was big back then. And I just slammed it into the floor as hard as you can. And I didn't get an O rep.
Class.
And and I had that lame the next event, and there was just this big hole in the.
Did it bounce, or did it just like stop?
To be honest, I can't remember. I would have thought it bounced probably up near as high as my shoulders. But yeah, that was the competition. So I came second at that competition. Lacey Kovacs came first, who was a games athlete by then, and Björgvin was 3rd.
Oh, cool.
So I knew then that was in the mix with the top athletes, and I just had to, you know, fine tune things to take it to that next step.
Yeah. So I think James, you got a question on this.
Yeah. Like I was ready to actually just fire that in there. Hopefully, I don't disconnect while I'm speaking. So obviously, you played a bit of sport. You played football. You've come into CrossFit, so you kind of have that idea of what it takes to be competitive in your sports. I was just like, I think a lot of people, I don't know, maybe so much nowadays, but I know when we started CrossFit, everyone thinks you can just jump in. It's like, oh yeah, I fucking train twice a day, I'm going to go to the games. But it's maybe like, when I touch on like what you've actually had to sacrifice to get to the level that you got to. Like,
I think first of all, like before even like I started CrossFit, there's a lot of, I'd put a lot of my time and effort into just being, you know, I played football, but I played nearly every sport under the sun. I did swimming, running, rugby, cricket, table tennis to a decent level. You know, name a sport. I played it at school, and you know, I would find an after-school club, and I would do that as well. So a lot of, if you clock up the amount of hours that I played sport before I was 21, you know, there's I can't tell you how many there is, but there's a lot. You know, from the age of 5 all the way up until 21 before I started CrossFit. So I think, and when I started CrossFit, I just had that much bigger base to go from, and obviously a lot of my life was dedicated to sport before then. So just my mind frame and mindset was to be competitive. And like when you say like, what did you sacrifice before then? It was like sacrificing 4 hours after a full day at school to go and play sport. Like they're sacrifice, because a lot of your mates are going out and, you know, playing around, playing football in the park, but I'm going to football training and then off to table tennis. And I remember playing, you know, table tennis isn't the coolest of sports, especially for, you know, a 15-16-year-old lad. But that was every Friday night at 8 p.m. I used to play matches, and, you know, a lot of my mates would be, you know, just, you know, kicking around and doing whatever.
Getting pished.
Probably. I was there playing table tennis in my shorts and sneaker outfit. So it's just, it goes back as far as that, really, the sacrifice. But then kind of progressing and getting into CrossFit, it was easier for me then to carry on making those sacrifices, because it wasn't anything that was new to me, like sport and training to compete, whether it was football or anything else, wasn't anything that was new. So I think I made that transition quite well. And I would probably say then, you know, at first it was like unheard of to do more than one session a day. You do one workout from CrossFit.com. If you did anything after that, you were some fucking lunatic. That was early on, and it just progressed then, and it was probably good for me that was the kind of perception, because, you know, if the perception was that you could do 3 or 4 sessions a day, which you kind of, you know, you can, but it's more known of now, then you know, I'd probably have not reached the level that I got to. So the change probably came when I started owning the gym in 2013. And then like a year and a half later was the point where I decided that I can't not own the gym. I'm going to keep owning the gym, keep coaching the classes, but I dropped any of my PT clients. And just kind of dropped anything else that was like tying me into being here, there, or anywhere, and I could just focus on training and recovery. So, you know, it got to the point in 2014 where, you know, I was waking up every day and it was just like, what am I doing for training today? Like, I would have bits of work here and there around, but it would always be work that was quite flexible and I could do at certain times so that training could take
come first. Yeah, cool.
You know, I met my wife now in 2012, and she competed as well. She was in our regionals team twice. She got 2015. She was like 43rd in Europe in the women's region, which was, you know, it's a stacked region back then. So, and she, you know, she'd been in multiple of our strength and depth teams, so she fully understood kind of what it took for an athlete to get to that level. She'd kind of had that insight herself. So that was handy in a way, because she knew what I had to do for training. She knew when I could and couldn't go out for, you know, meals out, or, you know, we don't drink, but if we were to go out to have any drinks, she doesn't drink. I can drink. Decide for it to be a rare occurrence. But when it does happen, it's good. So yeah, that kind of really helped. And, you know, it's hard to sum up the real sacrifice, but I'd say it is kind of, it's a lot lonelier of a thing than people see. Like when they look at these athletes, they're at the games, like they must be so good to live their life. Like, don't get me wrong, being at the games and competing there and being at regionals and winning and qualifying is like an amazing feeling. But, you know, the stuff that you have to do to get there, it's not glamorous. And this is why people always say, well, you have to have fun in training. if you're going to keep doing it. And it just depends on what's people's definition of fun.
Fun, yeah.
Like I've always had a laugh and had a bit of banter in training sessions, but like, you know, fun isn't 4 or 5 hours a day of training. Fun to me is going out with your mates, you know, have a few drinks, have a bit of banter, and you know, just having a good time. Yeah. It's not slogging yourself to the point of near like exhaustion
every day.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, on you go.
No, so it's. I mean, it's not every single day. It was slog yourself, but it's like you get up.
That's hard work.
You're back to going again. Yeah. It's like you've got to sacrifice the food and the fizzy drinks, or you know, just the little bits and bobs that. We said the inches, the little things that add up that you might not eat, or you might have to eat. Like you might have to eat that extra bit of frigging spinach that tastes like crap, or you know you're not allowed to eat. No, you are allowed to eat, but you'd be better if you didn't eat that bag of crisps, or you know. It's those things that are just. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of those little things that add up. I still think there's a lot of athletes that don't kind of have that approach where they're just kind of in control of absolutely everything. I feel like that I needed to have that approach because I would say that, you know, do have talent, but for me to maximise that to its full potential, and I think that would have been, you know, I think at tops I could probably have got to like 10th to 15th individual at the games if I was, you know, get another shot. If I didn't make some errors in 2015, it would have been top 15. But everyone makes errors. But in my head, like that's where I feel I could maximum get to. Like that top 10 was just kind of that little bit beyond me, and I would have probably have to have started doing CrossFit kind of a bit earlier. It was 27 by the time I got to the games. So, you know, if I was at that point at 24, then it was different. But that's what I mean. I had to maximise everything I could out of my own ability to get to where I did. And if that meant, you know, that meant sacrificing
stuff,
that, and the other, and everything, then I would do it.
Yeah,
it's just what it took for me to.
No, that's cool. Do you feel that maybe was easier? Like, so we hear a lot of like the really good CrossFit athletes have a sporting background. You've just said that you've played. All the sports under the sun. So like, do you think maybe it was a little bit easier because of the sporting background? So you've got that discipline, you've got that kind of that work ethic almost. Do you think that's important for someone coming up into CrossFit? So I think I've read or listened to Rich Froning say something that he hates kids that just do CrossFit as their sport, as opposed to going out and playing in a team or whatever it is. Do you think that's an important side of it almost, and it ties into
because CrossFit is, it's what it is, where, you know, we could do anything. They'll get tested in anything, and they'll bring up a new bunch of exercises every year, and it's like, who adapts to that? You can only adapt to that if you have this super wide base of foundational skills of, you know, throwing and catching. If you're in a team sports, you know, teamwork, understanding what it takes to be in a team, and you know the change of directions, and you know, there's a certain set of skills that's fairly specific to most different sports, but at CrossFit we could get tested in any one of those skills. So, you know, with I can't remember what I was going to say then. With CrossFit being able to, you know, test throwing. I've never had to throw in a competition, but I throw a football thousands and thousands of times. The amount of times I've gone into an event, and whilst I've been doing it, I've remembered being a little kid. Like one of them was swimming, for example, in 2015 games, swimming in the ocean. And I just remember the countless hours of swimming lessons they had when I was 7 or 8 years old. And then weirdly remembering coaching cues that me had like 20 odd years ago or something. You know, it's strange that it comes back at that point, but it's just like, there's been so many things where I've had to learn something new, and it's just like in my head I go, oh, that's just like
doing this
that I used to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many times, and when you look at the top athletes, like Froning played every sport as well. Fraser had quite a high athletic background. He didn't just do weightlifting.
Yeah.
He had a lot of other sports going on. Tia the same. And I've said it a few times, and I don't mean any offence to the girl, but Sarah has never had a athletic background before she started CrossFit. And if you look at where Sarah has her performances have dropped, it's been on the events where things are new, where you have to learn it, you have to switch to a new skill. You know, I've trained with Sarah, I've coached her, and you can tell that is when something's new on her, she takes that little bit longer than other athletes to be able to get good at it. Now, when she gets good at it, she gets very, very good at it.
Yeah.
It's just being able to, on the spot, be able to adjust and learn the skill, not only learn it, but then being nearly mastering it within the first few times of doing it. And you only get that, the speed of going through that skill development once you've gone through 20,000 different types of skills. Because you can just, you know, it's the muscle memory or the brain to muscle like connection. It's just there, so it happens quicker.
Cool. That's cool.
When you were, because I remember watching one of the red pill training videos. And you had joined in to was it a week of Sarah's training for the games, or what did you feel, what was not the pressure like to coach an athlete like that? Had you ever taught an athlete at that level before this, or? I'd known Sarah through 2014 and 15. We had the same weightlifting coach, so we had many training camps together. And there was quite a lot of times where we'd have a weightlifting training camp, but because obviously we were all CrossFitters and like the Open was coming up, we'd still have to do the other training. And I was often put in charge of deciding what happens and what we do there. And there's quite a few times when I'd coached her through some gymnastics bits and bobs back earlier on before, 4 or 5 years before. I think that was the 2019 season. I remember the 2015 run up to the games. I was coaching her how to do parallel handstand push-ups. So we had that connection. We had that kind of relationship where she kind of, I understood her as an athlete and she understood how I worked as a coach. But yeah, it was more eye-opening to me watching her in 2019 when we put her through some work, how good of an athlete she is, how much she can take on, and it was one of the things that it's just, I don't think that, she's had a few different coaches. I don't think any coach has done anything wrong. I don't think she's done anything wrong. When people ask why she never she's been close to winning the games a few times, standing up on the podium. It literally has been just that bit of lack of exposure to different skills when she was younger. I think she swam, and she might have done other sports. I don't want to speak too much for her, but that's just kind of everyone I see who just does well in CrossFit, you go and speak to them and they've played elite sport at some time. They've either played elite sport or they've played a lot of sport. And they get all those skills transfer over, and with the standard that CrossFit is at now, you need to have that to be able to be snatching 130 kilos, or if you're a girl 90 plus kilos. Like these aren't easy feats anymore. When I started CrossFit and I was competing at regionals, it was a 70 or 80 kilo snatch in the first couple of years. It's gone up a good 40 or 50k. And luckily for me, I could follow that trend a bit of the standard improving, and I could keep up with it. Getting into it now as an athlete, and these youngsters getting into it now, like you said there with Froning said, you need that big base to be able to reach that. The wider the base, the higher the peak.
The higher the peak,
So yeah, I'd fully agree with it, and it's also a bit of
it's not resiliency, but
like
less likely to burn, a bit more longevity in the sport if you've got that wider base, and they've not been like CrossFit is like really just like physically demanding. Like there is skill elements to it, but in a competition, majority of the time it's max effort. Like everything as hard as you can.
Yeah.
So then training becomes a lot higher intensity than most other sports. And that as a 14 or 15-year-old is,
it's a lot.
as you see it, it wears people down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
So you were at regionals from 2012 through to 16 as an individual. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say 2015 came third, made it to the games that year. But there was like a increasing trend there. So 2015, 35th, 13th, 11th, 14th, 7th, and then 2015 you came third. And then the year after was 39th. Was what happened? What happened there? Was there injuries?
I just got really shit at CrossFit. I got injured on the second event. I was in good shape. I was still feel like I was top 5. I was still good enough to qualify. Like the times that I was doing in training were good enough to make the games again. Mm-hmm. Put a lot into that year. Just as much, if not more, than the years before. I felt a lot of pressure that I had to get back. Mm-hmm. I've said it on Eric, the Weightlifting 101 podcast. It was after 2015. It was quite hard for me to get back into training. So I planned to have 3 maybe 4 weeks off. Mm-hmm. I had 3 full weeks, and then just started doing little bits, joining with my mates in the classes, and gradually decided to up it. And then when I got the training volume back up to a level that I was at previously, my body it wasn't reacting to it. And I was just exhausted. Yeah. Just like physically and mentally. I had a lot of stuff to catch up on in the business from after the games. And I think it's a bit of an adrenaline dump, being in LA for 3 weeks and Costa Mesa for 2 weeks before, Spain the week before that, just this big long training camp in all these nice places. Then being stuck back in Wigan, and my dog just like crying at me to go out for a walk. And then all this paperwork and crap from the gym that I had to look after. It was just a bit of like a slap back to reality. Mm-hmm. So that, along with just being like mentally and physically quite exhausted, and then feeling the pressure to have to get back in 2016. I just felt like the whole season I was training more and more because I felt like I needed to catch up more and more to keep with the standard. Like in my head, it was always like what's the standard I need to be at for everything? Yeah, and I need to be above that. Okay, because if I can be above that, I'll get to the games. And I mean, there was some tough workouts for me on that year, 2016. There was it was a 400 meter run, 30 or 40, can't remember how many it was, GHD sit-ups, and then 7 deadlifts at 185, 184. Oh
yeah, I remember that one.
I'm not a great deadlifter. I could probably prefer to have 7 back squats at 185, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's are you in that?
Yeah, I'm that guy.
Short lever guys, yeah. But I got to the point where I could do that workout unbroken and in a decent time, a time that would have been more than good enough with the rest of the events where I'd qualify for games. And there's a lot of things that I'd worked on to get there, and then I think there was just a mixture of a small bit of unluckiness, but also just me being so like focused on getting at that standard. I was putting my body through things that it probably wasn't, ready to do. Mm-hmm. And it got to that second event. It's just a kettlebell snatch and I tweaked my back. Yeah. Tweaked my back during it, and it was like after the event when I sat down when it just kind of like fully locked up. Yeah. And with the next day, I had GHD sit-ups, deadlifts, pistol squats, power cleans, which would have been more like Jefferson curls with the workout we were in. Just like 50 kilo power cleans. it was just not a good decision to carry on competing.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that took that year out, and then that was kind of the point where it's, you know, when I realised, I spoke to my physio then, James Jousting, he said he wouldn't be confident, he wouldn't be happy letting me out to go and compete. Like I trusted everything he said, so it was just like that was just like a relief. I felt like a lot of like relief just came off my shoulders because now it was out of my hands why I couldn't get to the games. I wasn't trying to just like keep up. So then it was just like just change a bit of direction and pursue some team.
Yeah.
For the next few years.
Cool. Yeah, because we were at the regionals where when you guys won. That was chaos. That was cool.
Yeah.
Did you guys go into that knowing that you had a decent shot at winning? To say never mind just getting a podium, but
yeah, I mean, when I decided that we're going to go team, that I was going to go team. I spoke with Jack, spoke with Ben Massey and Jane, who just Jack and Jane that I trained with each day at JST. Ben came up from Twickenham, and we needed to find 2 other girls because there was 6 in a team back then.
Yeah,
and it was like, well, we're not just going to get a team that's going to get to the games. Like, we want to get a team that's definitely going to get to the games and then compete at the games. We've got no interest in just making up numbers. When we get there. So yeah, we knew that the team that we were taking, I mean, we came second in the Open worldwide, just behind Frodin's team. We knew that we were, we were good enough. We just needed to, regionals was more of a test to kind of stick to the plan. We did a lot of training together, stick to our strategy and tactics, and kind of try and execute them to the best level we could, because that's what we're going to have to do in a few months' time at the games if we qualify. Obviously, it was amazing to then do that and qualify. It's a bit like similar things. Like Liverpool just won the league, like over the moon now they've won the league. But I mean, they were winning the league from Christmas time, weren't they? That far ahead. But then it happens. It's still a great feeling to know that you've done it with all your mates as well.
Cool. So I remember, it just reminds me there. So 2015, when you made the games, that was like kind of my first year almost getting into CrossFit, and then having watched the games and things, and having seen you watching regionals and having seen you qualify. I was like, cool. It's like one of the first British guys to make it. I remember thinking on it now. I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking? And the events came out, and it was the sandbag. Wheelbarrow up the stairs, down the stairs, over the wall thing. And I had sent you a message, because obviously back in the day I did parkour and free running as a coach.
Right.
All this climbing up buildings and all this nonsense.
Stupid
shit. I'd send you a message being like, you've got to climb this wall to fucking get your sandbags up on top of this thing. This is the perfect way to do it. And thinking back on it now, I was like, what the fuck were you thinking?
That would probably, I got up that wall quite well, so I don't know if I took that technique on, but why didn't you not give me any technique about how to use wheelbarrow? Because I fucking dropped that one, didn't I?
Flip that thing.
Where was your advice then?
You should have got Jack. He's the farmer, no? He could have showed you with it.
I know. Do you know what? What really? I came last on that event. That was one of the fuck ups, and I pulled a lot of time back. I would have probably come middle of the pack. Maybe I was good at stuff like that, just hard work stuff. But I knew that wheelbarrow would be heavy because it was quite a wide thing, and I was only a small frame. It was quite wide out here, so I knew it'd be wobbly, and I didn't get the weight perfect. I struggled to overpower it. I'm going to use the small lever again, but my centre of gravity is a lot lower than everyone else's, so I couldn't overpower this wheelbarrow. These big guys were picking up and to the end, and it was no issue. And I turned, when we got told the event, I turned to Phil Askeff and said, I'm thinking about doing this wheelbarrow in 2 runs. I'm loading it in half, running it there, doing it really quick, bring it back and then load in another half. And he was like, nah, you don't need to do that. No one needs to do that. It won't be that heavy. And I was like, sure. Fuck I'll do it in 1 minute. And I remember picking it up, and within like 3 meters, I dropped it.
He's like, fuck.
Sabotage.
Funnily enough, when people mention the games, that's the only event they freaking talk to me about. No, but not, not about 10th in heavy DT or, 10th clean and jerk, nothing like that.
The one with the wheelbarrow flip.
One weekend.
So you're quite you're a strong guy for on your Olympic lifts and all this kind of stuff. Is that something that you've had to work on, or were you just was that something that kind of came quite naturally to you?
I did. I had to work on it quite a lot.
Yeah.
I do remember snatching 70k within my first year of CrossFit, and I remember PBing that being a PB. I also remember not having a squat rack, so I wanted to do some front squats at 90 kilos.
Yeah. I
thought, well, I'm gonna have to power clean this up and do my front squats, and I couldn't power clean it up.
Oh shit. Okay.
With the first 6 months.
Yeah.
So I wasn't. I've always had strong-ish legs at sprinting and running and jumping and stuff like that. But the transfer actually into technique and Olympic lifts took a bit longer.
Right.
It was only really. So I'd got my point. I got to. What was it? 2014. I think when I was at 2014 games, I think I could snatch 105 and clean and jerk at 145 or something, which were decent. They weren't top, but they were decent numbers.
Yeah.
I needed to, get them up to the rest. I needed to get them as good numbers so I can, be top 10s in lifting. And I went going and seeing Sean Clegg, who's down in Manchester way, who was a Commonwealth Games lifter. He competed in Glasgow actually in Commonwealth Games. And I went training with him 3 days a week for 6 to 9 months, and he really transferred. He's a great coach, but not so much in the sense of improving my technique. It would just be how he would communicate things, those little things. But then he'd get me in the zone to be able to lift, and he built a love of weightlifting for me, which then helped me help my numbers rather than just overcomplicating with where the weight should be in your forefoot, heels, toes, and it would just say really simple things about finishing your pull or keep the bar close, and it just not overcomplicate it, and just the atmosphere and the attitude that he had just got along with him really well, and that's just his methodology on weightlifting as well just helped my numbers. It was very much you go heavy. If you feel good, you go heavy, and then you do drop sets, and then you do and you do 4 exercises. You do a snatch, you do a clean jerk, you do a squat, you do a pull, or some variation.
Yeah.
And I just went through that for 6 months, and it got to the point. My max snatch got to 126, which is fairly low compared to my clean and jerk, which got to 163. Which even now is the clean and jerk anyway is a competitive number for CrossFit. I remember actually in 2011 competing in Sweden, and there was a max clean and jerk, and I tried to open at 105, failed the clean, opened up, and then I went down to 102 and failed the jerk, and I recorded a 0 for my score.
Oh, class. Okay.
Yeah, and I'd travelled all the way to friggin' Sweden, about $1,000 on a flight to get there.
Oh, no.
Yeah, got booted out of this competition because I couldn't jerk 102 kilos, and then about 6 years later I jerked 170. So
Well, there you go.
It's fuel for the fire. But I don't think I'd ever kind of really got those top end numbers if I didn't start to love weightlifting, and that only came about with the work that I did with Sean really. Obviously I'm built to squat. I've got short legs, I've got a long torso. A lot of that came a lot quicker than other people would, but
yeah, cool. With you being shorter like us two, the 2019 games on team, the dominance that you guys had in the ruck run event, was that planned? Or did you go into that event thinking we can never mind win it, but stay out ahead of everyone for the whole thing?
Yeah, so we'd qualified out of Reykjavik with me, Jack, Jane, and Sam Briggs,
You know, Sam stepped in nearly last minute for Emma McQuaid, who was supposed to be in our team. That's who we did the qualifiers with, but she hurt her wrist, I think. But so those three, there's me, Jack, Jane. We were all good runners, so we needed another girl. Whoever we picked, they need to run as fast as us, if not faster. Otherwise, it would be pointless that with how fast that we could run. You know, and especially if you look at so the team selection is always quite important. But Jane, who is our girl, she's a great runner, great engine, strong as in like squats, deadlifts, cleans as well. Actually, and, you know, she can snatch well, but she wouldn't say it was her greatest strength. You know, she can do all the gymnastics well, but it's not like a great strength. Her great strength is her engine and her running, especially. Me and Jack have had to keep up with Jane and running for years on end, so we've managed to keep up with her, and she's brought our running on. Yeah. But we needed a girl that could fit in and run as well as Jane. Helena had been in our teams before, and she was known that she was a good runner. She was a good rower. She had a great engine, and she was pretty much, if you put her and Jane next to each other, they're just the same athlete, or very similar. So that she just fit in the team well. And then we knew then we've got a team of 4 good runners, and you know, these Americans, they're not very good at running. To be honest, they're not endurance. They're not very well known for their endurance. Like, obviously, you got some, you know, your phrases and whatever. But I'm sure he's even Canadian. Like I think it's just the culture of their sports growing up. They're very much power-based sports. Sports that we've all done. Jack's done sailing. I've done football. Jane played professional football. And I think Helena did rowing and football. So very much more endurance-based, and that's a lot of the same. When you look at people across Europe, you always find the European athletes have better capacity than their actual strength or skill level. So yeah, Americans they're not great at running, which was good for us. It just made us look even better when we got there. So yeah, we needed that though. It was we hadn't done great at the events before with a couple of mess ups, and we needed that, and we were glad it came along because, you know, there's not many times you can say that you've won an event at the games. Yeah, that was cool. Cool. And the way you did it as well, that was cool to watch. Yeah. So you've had success in team and individual, so it's that ongoing debate that we ask everyone. You might not prefer one or the other, but what are the different sort of experiences? Do you prefer one or the other? Would you push back to individual, or would you still push team? Or? You know, this last 4 months, I was supposed to compete 2 times as an individual and once more as a team. Some of them being sanctioned events. So I had planned this season, you know, just to have a dabble at some sanctioned events. No intention of getting to the games as an individual. Yeah. Just because I've never competed in a sanctioned event and felt like I wanted to tick that off and do it. I still have my invite for Egypt, which I qualified for, which has been carried over to next year. So maybe we'll go there. But yeah, sweet. Was the question what was the difference between team and individual? Yeah, just your experiences. Yeah. So team was never even in the question until 2016. Until I'd achieved what I wanted to achieve on my own. It's quite a selfish way of thinking, but until I had done that, I wasn't interested in team. I did other team events like strength and depth. You know, it was 12 teams of 12 and stuff like that. They were great, but I didn't want to sacrifice my regionals appearance to go in a team, and I could be there individually working towards my goal. But once I'd hit my goal in 2015, you know, I had that. No one could take that away from me. That was at the games individually then. Then it was like, right, no other team from the UK had gone to the games. We've got the opportunity here with these athletes that I'm training day to day with and the athletes that I'm coaching to be able to tick that box. And that was a really nice switch in like mentality, because it went from having 5 years about it just being like, you know, where's my deadlift at? What weight can I deadlift? What weight can I snatch? How fast can I row 500s? You know, just having that pressure on me every single day to be able to bring these levels up to be at a standard took a bigger twist, because it was no longer about that. It was how well could we work together? How's the communication? How do we lift the worm as a team of 6?
how do you synchro, pull-ups, chest to bar pull-ups. There's loads of these new like skills and factors which just made it was just a nice change of like pace. I was still competing at the highest level and I was still pushing myself, but it was just, that change was just a nice break for me.
Yeah.
That's why I continued. I feel like what we learned in 2017 put us in a better position for the next couple of years, because we were kind of one of the first teams to, go out there and do it and have so much time together. The knowledge that we learn of how to do things, we could then pass on to a lot of other teams. Yeah. That's what a lot of what we tried to do these last 2 years in JST Compete is get quite a few different teams to different events and kind of upskill them all. This is how you do the worm, so then they could go and do these different events and represent us and represent themselves. So that was nice, but then like I said, just in this last 9 months, I just felt like I fancied a little bit of a go myself again. So it's nice just to be able to slip between the two. To be honest, I find them both equally as stressful, but it's just a different type of stress. Like the stress for individual is more like pressure I'm putting on myself to be able to be at this standard, to do this, that, and the other. Whereas the stress when I'm in a team is because usually I'm the team captain. It's being the man in charge that who calls the calls and makes the decisions. So equally as stressful, but they're just different. But it's nice to be able to change between the two.
Cool. The other debate that goes back and forward is regionals versus sanctionals. What's your thoughts on the new way we do things?
Yeah. Do you know what I love about sanctionals is, I competed in Miami in February. Yeah. I was supposed to then be going into Egypt. I was supposed to go into Rogue in May. I can't remember the other event I was supposed to be doing. There was one in Washington. And you can travel around the world, which is something that you don't get that much of an opportunity to do if you're just a normal person that doesn't compete in CrossFit. So that's cool to be able to do that, and also to have the flexibility to be able to compete when you want, and you're not just tied down to this one weekend in May. Your whole year revolves around. That was a stressful thing in itself, where you could get ill in the middle of the Open, and those scores could drop 10% off your score if you're ill, and then you're not going to regionals, and then you've trained all year and it's done. Or you could get ill the week before regionals, or you get injured on day one of regionals like I did, and your season is just done. That injury I had, it wasn't that serious. Like 6 weeks later, I could have competed again. So I could have picked a sanctional 6 weeks later, and I had my next shot going to the game. So that's what I like about the sanctioned events. But what I miss about regionals is just the event. It was epic. You knew that every top athlete in Europe, or when it went to Meridian, Europe and Africa, and they were going to be there, and you were going to be competing against them. And everyone, like, there's always a huge crowd. Like when you came to 17, there's always a huge crowd, always a great atmosphere, and it was just like you knew that was the cream of the crop in Europe, and you were there and you were competing against them. It's like it was European Championships basically. So I miss that. There's rumour that it might come back.
I saw that.
But that would be cool. But I'm quite happy to say that I was a regional athlete, and then no one else can become a regionals athlete anymore.
Sanctionals athlete now. It's not got the same ring to it.
Oh, it's not, is it?
Cool. So you touched on JST Compete.
Yeah,
it's had massive success now within itself, and then the guys that are out everywhere competing. How did that build? Did it snowball, or was it a sudden?
Yeah, it came about. We started to have kind of 6 to 10 members of our gym get into competing. Like myself, I competed from when we began the gym. John, the other owner, he'd also got to regionals in 2012. So we were seen there as like, competitors, up there in Europe. So that naturally just made some of our younger members who had the time to be able to do a bit more training, they wanted to get into it. So we soon grew like a little bit of a group of 10 or so athletes who wanted a little bit more outside of just doing the classes. We started doing a competitors class on a Saturday and then a Thursday, and then they wanted extras to do on a Monday, Tuesday and a Friday.
Yeah.
So then those extras became the Google document spreadsheet that I made for them. And yeah, that became the Compete program. We called the class the Compete class, and then that became the JST Compete program. And yeah, as we grew and we had good success over at competitions, then people would inquire and say, "Oh, can I jump on your? Can you get any programs?" So we started selling it to people outside the gym, and it just it's took on from there really. I think in 2000. After the games in 2015, we had about 40 athletes, and it was after that point. And I say before, when I was training in 2016, I was putting myself under a lot of pressure, but I was also trying to make a living off the back of 2015, having gone to the games, because you don't get paid by CrossFit by again. I had a couple of sponsors give me a couple $100, but it was like it wasn't paying my bills. You know what I mean, it wasn't paying me rent, paying for me petrol, so I needed to keep doing something that's going to earn me some money and get something that I can build for the future. So I put a lot more time in 2016 into building that. And that's actually when Jack came on board as well, so we started doing a lot of stuff together for it. I can't remember the numbers, but we'd probably doubled in size quite quickly within 6 months. And it was after that. Also, then the team thing came around in 2017. We just give us more exposure, and we just got out there more and more.
Cool.
But yeah, that's how it just came about, as a program that we did for our members, which people outside the gym wanted to get involved with, and we just started to publish it out there so that people could.
Cool.
Luckily, there was not many people out there that did it back then. If I tried doing it now, then there's about every Tom, Dick and Harry's doing it at the moment. They soon realise how hard a job it is and sack it off, though, don't they?
So you've obviously it's real successful now. Everywhere you go, you seem to, like, every competition you go, there's people cutting about with JST t-shirts on and that. Who do you think? This might be quite a tough question, or it might be quite easy. Who do you think's the most talented person you've coached or worked with? Like, just like raw CrossFit talent.
We don't want you to get beat up if you pick that.
Pick the wrong person.
Fraser Clark.
Definitely not.
Right, I'm going to pick a boy and a girl.
Yeah, fair.
And they're upcoming as well. They're not like
cool. Yeah.
Reggie is the boy. You've heard it here. I think he'll be a top boy in the UK, especially for years to come. I've seen what he's been doing in training over the last few months. We've had a little WhatsApp group together with a few of us, and the lads, him and Mikey, are just kind of bouncing off each other. And the lads are just, the reaching levels. They're both front squat 200 kilos last week.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, their numbers that you're not allowed to front squat. You don't do that.
That's just unnecessary.
Not a thing. Only weightlifters do that. And he's like 5'4", and he's got he's in Wadapalooza. He had the 12-minute max effort row, and he beat every person there. Pat Vellner was there.
That really
Cole
blew his
Sager
life.
was on as well.
Yeah, like, he didn't just beat them; he just absolutely smashed them to pieces. There's things that he's working on. He's snatched up to build up, but his actual, we say talent, it's more of his like raw like energy and will to want to improve and compete. Like, I've not seen that in anyone as much as I've seen it in Reggie.
That's cool.
And it's quite like, you just being around him, you just get a bit of a buzz that he's going to do some good things over the next few years.
I think that row event was just that was mental. Like I said, it ruined Liam's life. Liam always makes I'm too small to row well.
Like 5'3" on a good day.
Yeah.
And then you went and did that, and I was like, great, cheers, Reggie. I don't have an excuse.
That excuse went for me when I realised I was the same height as Rich Froning. Froning's class at rowing, so I better let go of that one. It shows that there's no such thing as too small to row. You just have to row more. Girls wise, I don't know if I can bring it down to one. There's a few. There's Taylor who's up there currently. She's knocking on the door. She's got a lot of talent. When I talk about what I said with Sarah before, like being able to adjust to a new skill, when I give Taylor like a coaching cue, or try this, it's just like some people have to do it a few days, few weeks, and then it clicks.
Yeah.
She just goes, right, okay, just show us one rep. You do one rep, okay, and then you can just do it straight away. Like she can just take on information and new skills just like that. That's a great skill to be able to have, and that shows why she's such a skillful athlete in terms of her weightlifting and her gymnastics, because it's the higher skilled movements that she can really dial in on. And she's improved a lot over this off season. She's had a great what was it been? What we're on now? 4 months of lockdown. And she's improved. She's improved a lot, and excited to see how she does in this season. There's a lot of girls. Like I said before, I've never seen many people run as fast as Jane has run. Jane Eady. That more so in train when I've done stuff with her in training, just completely knocked us all out of the park. She's not really had the opportunity on her own to be able to show it in competition, like Briggsy has, for example. But I think she'd be up there with Briggsy. And there's other girls. There's Ella Wilkinson. There's Evie Hollis. Those are both two young girls. I think Ella's 20, maybe 21. Evie's 22 or 23. Both getting to sanctionals last year. Evie did quite a few. She did a lot of Palooza as an individual. Ella at a filthy 150. Both in their own way of super talented. And I've got a lot of big future ahead of them.
That's cool.
Unfortunately, we've got them under our belt.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool.
Steer them in the right path.
Yeah,
sweet. So I've only recently learned about the tiers. Is that what you guys in JST?
Yes.
Tiers? How do those? Is there a certain? I don't know if it's exposure, or is there certain levels or boxes you need to tick to climb the tiers, or how do you guys kind of?
So I presume you're on about the individual programming tiers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the competition programs, which are £40 a month. Our latest podcast is about explaining how those programs flow. Like there's a bit of a system to it. It's not just like one program that's on. It's like one generic program. There's a bit more of a flow, and you can, when you're following that and you follow it properly and you take on the information we give you, you can kind of build yourself your own individual, like periodized training plan from what we're giving them. And that's what I wanted to create when we started JST, is something that was fine for people's budget, like 40 quid a month. It's like £1.20 or something per day. It's not, it's not breaking the bank. Spend probably more than that on a flat white a month. But to be able to give them so much information so that everyone has the tools to be able to train well and train properly and become more educated. So that's like the main part. That's like the main bottom tier. It's not bottom tier, but it's not the bottom. It's the main tier. And then we have the £80 a month, the £120 a month, and then the £200 a month tier. So like tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3.
Yeah.
And basically, when you talk about experience, if you're going to be a top athlete, then you probably do need towards the higher end, because you need that contact with a coach where they're going to be. Like I speak to my athletes daily over the phone, call whenever they want. It's just like, it's that one-to-one contact. But a lot of people, they don't have that money. they don't have £200 a month to spend.
Yeah.
And, some people don't want to, might have it, but they don't want to spend £200, and that's completely fine. But they might want that extra little bit of accountability from a one-to-one coach.
Mm-hmm.
The tiers just kind of go up. The £80. The £80 is basically one of the £40 program types taken and adjusted for that individual and given like an extra £40 worth of value from the coach, if that makes sense, of what the change in the additional bits, tweaks here and there or whatever, and then the one-to-one contact with them. And then the 120, if you just kind of like double the workload that a coach takes, that's what that offers, just even more adjustment, like a bit closer to just being a fully individualized program, but still taking a lot of kind of the methods and principles that we're using on the other programs. Mm-hmm. So it's trying to kind of like, what I've always found as a coach in CrossFit and an athlete, there's like a misalignment of what an athlete expects from a coach. If they're thinking an £80 individual program, they're thinking that £80, that's quite a lot of money to spend, but £80 a month for a coach to earn is £20 a week. A lot of us at coach classes get paid £15 to £20 an hour. A PT rate's £30 to £40 an hour. So it's like, right, well, is that 1 hour's worth of work per week? It takes at least 1 hour to write a program, and then you want call, text. So it's trying to like bridge that gap. So that's why the £80 programs take a good chunk of the main competition programs that we're writing, and then the coach can then put more of their time into speaking to the athlete and making the more individual tweaks. And, the more tweaks and the more individual want, the higher the tier goes. So we've got people on the top tiers that aren't top athletes, but, but they either want or they need just a full individual approach. But, there's athletes that are at sanction level, sanctionals, your Evanders and, I can't think of too many examples off my head that are on the £40 programs, and they're just taking in the information that we're giving them and they're learning, and they're just applying it to their own training. They're still following the program, but they're applying all the other bits of advice, and it's helping them get to that level.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to get, like a tier system or an approach where, if you can afford £40 per month, we've got a program that's going to get you pretty far. And if you want more and you want to get that extra little bit, the opportunities are there, but we understand that not everyone wants to or can afford the extra.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
So before we get into these Instagram questions that are all from the same person, what's next for you? What's next? Let's start competition-wise before coaching-wise.
Yeah, so athlete first, you say?
Yeah, go athlete first.
Yeah, so obviously I was supposed to compete 3 times during lockdown. They all got cancelled. So at this point of time, I'd planned to have an off season anyway.
Yep.
So I've done that for the last 4 weeks. I've not really been doing too much CrossFit on that horrible thing back there quite a lot. But I like cycling as well. I've been getting out on my bike quite a lot. So that's been my main exercise over the last month. And to be honest, I've learned to not make set plans. I can't anymore. I've got a 18-month-old kid, a wife, got a house that's currently being knocked down and rebuilt. It's just caused me a lot of stress. And I've got a business to run with JST Compete, and I'm involved in owning Fitter Training, the website that we use as well. So got a lot of stuff on. So the good thing that sanctionals is competitions through the year. When I feel like the time's right, if I do feel like it's right, then I can give myself enough time to ramp it up and get to the level I want to be at to compete. But where that'll be, I'm not sure. Like I said, I've got the invite for Egypt. So, maybe I fancy a little holiday in Egypt after it. So I might go for that one. Coaching wise, I just want to get all of my athletes to the level they want to get to, whether that's games or sanctioned events. I'll just help them achieve what they what their goals are. And just get more of our athletes on the competition and as high up. Keep growing JST Compete and offering as much advice and information out to the guys that are on the program. And just helping as many people, whether they're training for Rainhill trials or they're training for Dubai Fitness Championships, help them all. Give them all the tools that I had to go out and search when I was starting CrossFit. Hopefully now we can be the people that gives them the tools so they don't have to, so they don't start thinking that doing this go ward mobility and sticking this complex on the legs is going to get to the next level.
You guys, you said you guys have started your your podcast. Is that just YouTube, or where could people?
Yeah, we do. So we've done 5 episodes now. We're on our YouTube page, it's JST Compete program, I think, and Spotify is JST Compete.
Spotify, sweet. Cool.
Yeah,
sweet. Right. So, questions. We'll just go quick fire through these as best we can. First one, straight in. Reggie or Mikey, who you got in a fight?
Fight. Reggie.
Oh. We won't need an explanation. you can explain to Mikey why you fight. Next one. How does Farmer Jack have such big forearms?
Sailing.
There we go.
Ex-pro sailor.
All the pooling.
Yeah.
If Steve wore a JuicyNinja shirt, would he make it to the games as an individual again? I know the answer to that one already. It's yes.
Did it take 10 years off you?
Yeah.
Did that too.
Well, you need it to do.
I'm actually 64 right now, so.
Are JST planning on making teams like they did for Sid in 2019? You guys plan on doing that again? Whenever
it was good what we did. We did trials and we got 3 teams there, and it was good to have that turnout at a home grown competition. Definitely something we enjoyed doing, and if cost us a lot of money, so set the budget out, but it was. We love doing it, and we want to try and do that for all the closer sanctioned events, like your filthy 150s and the close by ones.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Off the top of your head, worst and best competition experience?
Best competition experience is qualifying for the games. The more specifically event, what's the second to last event? Event 6, the rowing, chest to bars, and handstand push-ups. Probably, some events at the games as well, but that one's the regionals to qualify for the game sticks out in my head kind of a bit more. Worst, 2014, there was a deadlift, 21:59 of deadlifts and box jumps workout. It was like 143 kilo deadlifts. That crippled me. Didn't enjoy that one. Coming last in the wheelbarrow, although I actually enjoyed doing the workout, it was just like I knew after 5 minutes into the workout last, but I'm sat in front of 50,000 people here and I kind of stopped.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah.
That was a bit demoralising. Murph 2015 was bad. Oh. That's what that T-shirt represents there.
Oh yeah,
it's the T-shirt I wore. I didn't enjoy that. I love doing Murph. Didn't enjoy that. Very hot. Yeah. Weren't allowed to drink water, believe it or not.
Really?
Well, there's that scene with Castro. Matt Fraser asked for water, and Castro was like, "You can go across and get it yourself or something, but you get cut or
get a medical withdrawal from the competition."
Yeah. Great. Cheers, guys.
So I didn't enjoy that bit. But yeah. Murph was the worst experience.
Yeah. Favorite sanctional so far that you've been to?
Miami, Wadapalooza.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah,
always was class.
It's like a festival.
Yeah, it was. It was just like, it was just a bit small. It was just like the games, though. Just how they set it up, and the competition floor you were competing on, and the athletes there, and the music, and just what they had going on. It was like I say, it was the festival. And then I think it helped being in the team. We had Taylor, Anetta, Mikey in my team, but then we also had Reggie and Phil Biscard, Isla, and a lot of other guys from JST. So it was just it was a good
big squad. Yeah, cool. So there's notes on this one to say answer carefully. Is Sammy Robb your favourite Scotsman?
I'm sorry, Sammy. Santino Marini is the boy, the OG. I don't think many people will take Tino's place. Good guy. And if you're Scottish and you're listening, you don't know who Santino Marini is, go and do some research, because he's the man. But don't join his program. Join mine instead.
But I think you've already answered this one. When did you move away from owning the gym, and who took over? We pretty much
covered that.
Yeah. The thing is, I've not actually announced. It's not legally gone through, so and I hadn't announced anything. But November. Just the J Jonathan has taken my share.
Cool. Being from Wigan, what's it like being a hard bastard?
I've only lived in Wigan for 9 years, but I'm a hard bastard anyway, so it was nice to do it.
You fit in.
I lived in Lancaster for 21 years, then moved to Wigan and became an even harder bastard.
There we go.
It's only down the road.
Transition was fine.
I'm assuming you guys have this coming up in the next few weeks. In the 5K road test in a few weeks, is anyone going to beat Reggie?
Don't know if Reggie's got it. I don't think he's been following the row thing, but I think Julian, my athlete, Julian is a Danish lad. Julian is Crag Mashit or something. I can't remember how he says his name. Julian is a beast on road. He's done a sub-17, which is like a 140 pace, I think. So I don't think many people will beat. I don't think Reggie's been doing his things, but he's rowing. Yeah. He probably has been on the sly when not even told Jack, but no, I don't think anyone will beat Julian.
Cool.
But if anyone was going to be Reggie.
They're up there, both of them. It's not really a question, it's more of a statement of hook a brother up with Meg's number, but we'll next
is that from you or someone else?
that's Fraser. We'll blame him.
That's him. Yeah.
I'll read it out for you now. Meg's watched. Meg, just give Fraser a DM, make him happy.
Here we go. Meg is weak. RBE, what is it? RBE.
I'll tell you anything on the podcast, but I can't tell you.
Yeah. So it's those things that came in, I was like, I have no idea what these mean. I don't know if I should actually ask.
Is this I'll
just chuck it in there and see.
It's one of those things. If I tell you, I'll either have to kill you or I'll get killed.
Okay.
Skip past that one.
Yep.
What has been the stupidest strategic thing you've ever done in a workout? This has gone.
Probably picking a 105 kilo clean and jerk when it was my 1RM. And it was 4 minutes of shuttle runs, 1 minute rest, 4 minutes of double unders, 1 minute rest, 4 minutes max clean and jerk, and I opened up the max clean and jerk.
Class. It's a good play. It's a good play.
Yeah. Power move.
Old move.
That I think I've been pretty good with tactics and strategy. Other than that,
not doing 2 runs with a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Hesketh sabotaged you on that one.
Okay.
Circa 2018, 21:59 poster bar and power snatch. Did you or Jack actually manage it?
Jack managed it, and he did it once. Is this Fraser again?
Yeah.
On one, isn't it? Yeah, that was quite a funny story, actually. So I made a workout. It was 4 minutes on, 2 minutes off. And within 4 minutes, you had to do a 21:15.9 of power snatch and toaster bar. Then AMRAP, just a random movement within the 4 minutes if you finished it. Sometimes in my head, I just 21:15. Yeah, it'll take about 3 minutes.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah, just really bad calculations, and I had every single person on the compete program just crying. I was like, oh, you're being wussies. Like Jack's about to go and do it now, and he'll smash it. And he got one round in like 3 minutes 50, and then it just like died to death for the rest. It was like 4 repeats of it as well. I just held my hands up on that one. Sorry, guys.
I fucked up. Character building.
It happens.
How big was the lash after 2017 regionals?
Big.
Good.
We had a big one as well. I went missing for like half.
Yeah, you went missing on that.
It was bigger in 2015 though.
Oh, yeah.
They were big. There's probably over the last 5 years, probably had 8 times where I've been drunk, and if it's not from winning or qualifying for the games, it's because it's my stag do or it's my mate's stag do or a wedding. So yeah, it was up there as a good lash.
Two more from me. This one's probably the most Scottish question you could ever get asked. Bucky or Mad Dog?
Oh,
I don't know what they are.
Both.
To be fair,
ridiculous drinks.
As a Scottish person, I don't think I've never drank Bucky.
Is it like IPA?
No, I think they're like wine or something.
Yeah,
like
Mad
JK
Dog.
wine.
What is it? Buckfast and Mad Dog 2020 or something like
This
that.
phrase as well.
No. Stuart Aitken from Glasgow. I think he's from.
Do you recognise that?
Like that.
I have no idea what they are. I'm going to say Mad Dog.
There we go. Take it.
Sounds like it would be better.
Last one from me. What is the most ridiculous question you've heard being asked at a brief? This is a running thing that because us at local sort of competitions, we hear some ridiculous.
Your chest needs to touch the floor in a burpee. Shit like that.
I can't remember like specific ones, but I always remember that Frederick and Annie just used to always ask like the most intricate questions. Like, they used to mark the lanes out at regionals.
Yeah.
And like, so they'd run a mat down regionals, and the mat was probably like a millimetre thick. And they would say, are those the mats that are going to be out there? And they, yeah, why? And it's like, because they're a millimetre thick. So, we're going to be deadlifting to a 1 millimetre deficit. Just like,
oh my God.
Yeah, just tiny little
Come on.
thing.
But yeah, I remember those. They asked a lot of questions. They were quite known for it, and I think they probably asked more just to piss everyone off.
Yeah.
I can't remember too many others. There is always just people are nervous, aren't they? People are nervous on briefings, and then they start. You always say like athletes turn into like 6-year-old children when they get onto the competition floor because their brains just like fry. So you just start saying and asking things. Yeah.
Cool. Juicy, you got?
There's just 2 more. If you design the perfect workout for you, what would it be?
The one at regionals was pretty good. 5 rounds, 25 calorie row, 16 chest to bar pull-ups, and then 9 strict
handstand
push-ups.
Yeah.
4-inch deficit. That was a good one. Anything with strict handstand push-ups, handstand walks. It's pretty good for me. Toast bar.
Yeah.
If you could maybe take out the 25 cal row and you could do 25 cal ski, then that'd be even better.
That'd be better. Sweet. That sounds good. And then last one, finish it off. Go-to beer. You've just qualified for the games first time. You're like, yeah, class. Sit down, open your fridge. There's a beer there. What is it? There's always a story.
Does it have to be beer?
It has to be beer. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be beer, but we'll judge you.
You can judge me. I've been judged many times, so I don't particularly like beer, to be honest.
Okay.
Okay. if I'd qualified for the game, I wouldn't be sitting down on my couch and opening my fridge.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I'd be putting on my best clothes and we'd be going out and getting on it. I'm going to get called for this, but I do like a mixed fruits Copperberg. Tell you what you want. But,
okay.
Just qualified for the games, I can drink whatever I want.
You can do whatever you want.
That's fair.
I'll do what makes me happy, what tastes nice. Because I'm not having that anyone says that lager or what's it called? Your IPA beer. They don't taste nice. If you think they taste nice, then you're lying. You're just saying it because you think it's a manly thing to drink. Deep down, no one likes the taste of beer.
You heard it here.
Speaking the truth.
Awesome, man. That's all we had. We appreciate your time.
Yeah. No worries.
Thank you. And hopefully we can get down and train with you guys at some point when we're allowed to leave the country.
This is where I train these days. You can come and join me in my little gym at home.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cheers, dude.
Cool. Thanks for having me on,
man. Cheers, man. Thank you.